Yo, my name is Justin Marlow, and this is Franklin Boulevard Media. All right, so for the most part, I was born in Gastonia, North Carolina, but probably around the age of 4, my mother, she separated from my father, and we went to Pennsylvania from probably about 4 to 11. I spent the majority of my childhood at that point up north. So then it came a time where, just being a single mom, it was time to make some changes. She felt like moving back down south was going to be more beneficial. So that was approximately 3rd, 4th grade, if my memory serves me correct, where we came back. I ended up at Ryan Elementary. So straight from up north to Ryan Elementary, that was like a culture shock. You come down and obviously those are like detrimental times for a young dude. So at that time, I was walking from actually Ryan Elementary to Irwin Center almost every single day. That was kind of like my daily process. That's pretty much how it went, for the first couple of years. And then after Ryan Elementary, I went to Highland. Highland shut down. I went to Southwest to Huss. So that was pretty much my schooling. Southwest was a different part of town. I wasn't really familiar with none of the students for the most part. So once again, it's another shock for a young dude to have to switch from school to school. Gastonia, small town, you recognize some familiar faces, but I just remember at that time it was more about athletics and really trying to find my way as a young man. But concerning my career, barbering, potentially what I could do in the future, I just remember always like paying attention to the haircuts. It didn't even matter what age. I just remember being a young dude and just kind of looking at how fresh somebody was and spending some time in the mirror, looking and kind of critiquing the barber at that time that was cutting my hair, just kind of critiquing the work. I think that came from being raised in a shop. So up north, my grandmother and my mother owned a salon together. So it's called being a salon child. You kind of after school, you end up going to the salon. During the summertime, you end up there. So it was either go outside to play at the park or just sit around in the shop. I was probably a lazy kid around that time. So sometimes you want to go play some ball. Other times you want to sit around the older folks and figure out what was going on. So I just remember even women's hair, I would observe, check out, how things were done. So instantly I started to pick up like a desire to want to play with the mannequins or ask my mom different things concerning hair. And then it was just a desire that kept on building up over the years. And instead of going into, of course, the female side of things with cosmetology, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try my hand at barbering. And it was maybe purpose more than anything. And looking back at it, it was just a desire, a pull for me to go that direction. So that's pretty much how I ended up even pursuing it. There was never even a thought of before year college. But I just remember there was a lady cutting her son on the front porch. And, I was like, do you mind if I watch? So I was watching. She was cutting probably with some dog clippers. Just true story. Joy Barnett. And the young man she was cutting her son was Jeff Barnett. She had another son, Scott. So she would, cut both of them on a regular basis, doing what she could. I just remember stepping up one day. I was like, do you mind if I try? And the young man was like, please, man, like anything would be better than what she's doing right now. So I thought it was kind of funny, but, she handed it over and obliged, like, here you go. So I remember I critiqued my own work. I looked at it. I was going back and forth. It probably took me a long time too. And I was just so proud that I did it, that I just remember walking him up to my mom. I was like, Mom, what you think about his haircut? She was like, oh, that look good. And I was like, yeah, I did it. She was like, what? And she was like, you just decided you wanted to do it? And I was like, yeah, his mama, let me have the opportunity to try my hand at it. And she was like, oh, you might be on to something. So maybe that little bit of my mama saying that, or even him looking in the mirror and saying, yo, I like it. I ended up cutting everybody in the neighborhood. So that was probably about 14, 15. And then shout out to Jason Nichols. Jason Nichols was probably the first one that on somebody's front porch where I just pulled up one day and he was like, bro, you cut hair? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, shoot, can you cut black hair? And I was like, yeah, like super confident at the time. And then we went out on the front porch, I had some whack clippers, and he was the first one to give me an opportunity. Him and Don Mackins, and it was a handful of people that was like, shoot, you know what I'm saying, have your way with it. Anything is gonna look better than what I have right now. And so about that time, I was full steam ahead. You know, I was a football player, so the way I looked at it was like, shoot, if I don't make it to the NFL, what's the use of even, you know, pursuing sports? So of course, being young, kind of feeling yourself a little bit, could dress a little bit. You start entertaining women. Women is gonna bring drama with other dudes, and then I just remember growing up at Irwin Center. You know, you had to keep your head on a swivel. So the whole fighting thing was kind of normal at some point or another, which is terrible. But I was like, yeah, I'm gonna swing first. So I went to Huss, got into several fights, Irwin Center, sports, just kept on fighting. You know what I mean? And that kind of followed me all the way through high school. And you know, got kicked out of Huss. I got kicked out of Huss for fighting, and then I went to Ashbrook and got into a fight within 2 weeks and got kicked out of Ashbrook. Ended up graduating from Gaston College. So I graduated from Gaston College, and I just remember sitting at the house like, yo, let's go ahead and register for barber school. And I ended up enrolling at Hairstyling Institute, which was off of Kings Drive in Charlotte. So that's how I ended up there. I was there about 13 months, but I ended up getting in trouble in barber school too. I ended up getting hit with like 34 felonies. Okay, you coming from a background single mom, so like I thought I was a man by the time I was like 15, 16 years old, so I just jumped off the front porch and started hustling. It came easy to me. So at a young age, you start making money. You're not necessarily thinking about the level of crime that you're committing or the full spectrum of what you're doing. You just think about like, yo, I'm getting more money now than I ever had. So I just remember about halfway through barber school, I knock on the door, you know, answer the door. It was the detectives. They pulled me outside, told me what I had. There was a full live investigation that had been going on for like several months. And I just remember like I had been distributing to somebody for, I think, 10 months on paperwork. And it was several different charges and added up to like 34 felonies. Yep, I'm in the last 2 months of barber school. So my first major charge, it went in my favor. You know, I went to court, public defender at the time. I ended up doing 3 years probation. They consolidated 34 felonies down to 4 felonies because, of course, my age and then actually the direction I was going. You know, being in barber school helped. I was fearful because anytime you take on financial aid and you get a felony, they pull your financial aid away and then you have to pay out of pocket. So my lawyer, public defender at the time, was able to put off the charges where I was just charged. Wasn't found guilty until I think a month after I graduated. And then, so my first 3 years, I was on probation. Interesting story. The Ladder Arcade, that's downtown Charlotte. There was a guy named Cecil. It was Ladder Arcade Barbershop. It had been around for like, you know, several years, an older gentleman. I went in there and, of course, uptown with, I think it was Wachovia at the time, the Wachovia building. I was cutting a lot of corporate gentlemen who were coming in and, they, you know, the money was okay, but I didn't have a connection to the people. Like, I'm still I'm looking urban. I feel urban. I have big fake earrings in my ear at the time. I'm wearing tall tees, and they looking at me like, just cut my hair. So I wasn't getting too much of a connection with the people. So I just remember going home and telling my mom and Shanika, I was like, yo, I think I'm about to go cut in Marlow school. And they were both like, Marlow school? Like, man, what you doing? So even the wife, girlfriend at the time, she was like, you gonna leave downtown Charlotte from Marlow school? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I grew up. You know what I'm saying? This is where I grew up. So Gus had reached out to me, Gus Parker. And when I first met Gus, for Gus to be where he was at, right, it blew me away, like how he was super professional. I walked into the shop and it was right there on Crescent Lane, and the vibe, the energy, I was like, no question, I'm gonna go ahead and make this decision. And Gus was playing his part though. Like, I felt like Gus was a leader in the community because he was positive. He wasn't doing some of the stuff that was in the neighborhood. He was like a pillar. You know what I mean? Like, people were really coming to Gus, and Gus was respected. So I was like, I'm gonna try my hand at it. And at that time, Gus had already told me, like, we're not gonna be here long. I'm opening up a shop in East Ridge Mall. It was huge, and like for me to be a part of that, I was just like, yo, man, this might be the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And I just remember like it was a 2-month layoff, and in that time, my first child was born. I remember calling Gus like 3 or 4 times, like, yo, bro, I need to be somewhere making some money, or I'm gonna get back in the streets. Like I'm gonna mess up again. I need help. He was like, man, hold on, Jay, hold on. So I just remember when we opened up, it was Salty Custom Styles at the mall. Some people may not even remember that, and it was like Salty Custom Styles, where every cut and style is seasoned to perfection. And Gus, I was just like, okay, like I see where he's going with it. And I just remember being the white guy at the barbershop for a couple years. That's where I was at, and like I was brand new, fresh out of barber school, and probably my first day, I probably cut 5, 6 heads to a young barber. That's like, oh, okay. I'm starting to count the money in my head. Like, I got a child, newborn. I'm on probation, so I have probation fees, and then I got to take these classes. So any kind of money at that time, I was like, shoot, like I'm making something. So it was probably about $100 a day. Yeah, 5 heads. I was like, boy, I got some money in my pocket. And a funny story is, we had just had our daughter. I'm married. I'm not married. I'm dating a young woman who has both a mom and pops at the time in the household. Basically saying like, if you man enough to have a child, you man enough to marry our daughter. So I would come home and Shanika would be like, you got $50 for the marriage certificate? And a couple days I was like, nah, I only have $50. And then one day she called and she was like, yo, I set up a time at the courthouse. And I was like, cool, I made $50, let's roll. So I literally left the barbershop, went and got married at the courthouse, and then left and went back to Salty Custom Styles and cut some more. Got married on my break and went back to work. I think at 21, my back was against the wall. Like I was going through it all, just like any other young man trying to find himself, a new father, venturing into a new career, trying to figure everything out. So yeah, that was definitely a journey. I mean, this is a perfect opportunity to really touch on it. But being young, and I'm seeing what's going on in the city right now. So it's a lot of violence. It's a lot of these young men out here struggling. And I feel like at that time in my life, I was that guy. I was that guy that was afraid I was gonna get robbed. So I had a gun at a young age, and this is 2004. Yeah, so I just remember that my main thing was money. I seen my mother struggle, and when I say struggle, I'm talking about as I got older, I realized that the most my mother ever made in 1 year was like $16,000. When I seen her Social Security paperwork come to the house one day, I just happened to open it because it was already open, and it has a breakdown for Social Security where it shows what the person has made over time. And I just remember reading that letter and crying. Like, man, I was asking my mom for Tommy Hilfiger. I was asking her for Jordans and what every other kid at that time was asking for. But to think what $16,000 really was, and think about it now, it like, hell, they damn near bring a tear to my eye now. Bro, that thing was rough. So, yeah, the main thing for me was money. Like, I wasn't no bad dude. Like, I was super respectful back then, and it was just all about, like, yo, I got to get to this bag because I know what struggle feel like. So, a lot of people don't know me to this day or know that story, so they'll be like, oh, he possibly came from a family that had money or a silver spoon, or, like, what side of town did he really grow up on? And I'm telling them, like, bro, do you not know? Like, I came down here and didn't know nobody, and I was at Ryan Elementary. I'm walking from Ryan, walking with Don Mackins and Nord back to Mooney Street. Mooney Street, we bored. I don't think we were doing homework like that. We going to Irwin Center. Irwin Center is like where you hone your skill to fight. Back then we was throwing hands, and then from there it's a year after year after year to the point where you're growing as a young man and you're getting picked on for your shoes. You're getting punched for no reason coming out of Irwin Center, or you might hit a freaking jumper and somebody clean you out just off the strength of like, F you, white boy. You know, and then you go to Miss McClure at the time, Mr. Ferguson. They like, Marlow, young man, we can't do anything for you. Like, you're going to have to fight back, protect yourself. Your mama can't save you, and we can't save you. Like, we can come in there and get on somebody, but as soon as we walk back out, you a snitch at that point. Like, I hate to say it, but you better step up and fight back. Yeah, so I just remember hearing it clear as day, like, oh, for real? Like, all right. So, that one time when you fall out with somebody, I was like, bum it, I'm gonna go ahead and swing first. So, boom, you go ahead and swing, you get your first victory up under your belt. It changes things. Like, so I just remember that struggle. But the money aspect of it was like, you start to see, and I know rappers talk about it all the time, and but if you in the neighborhood of things and you seeing who driving what, you seeing who wearing what, I just remember being young and thinking the same thing. Every other young person is like, I want those things. So of course you try your hand at different things, and some people are just naturally like go-getters. And I just remember having that burning desire, like, yo, I want these things, and whatever it's gonna take, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So that's before barbering. Like I needed to make money right then. So I paid my way all the way through barber school. I was dressing a certain way, getting the attention, getting a name for myself, and then look how all that stuff started to line up. Like, the whole time I'm about to get in trouble, real big trouble. Really don't have any game plan whatsoever of what it looks like, how to get out, paying bail bondsmen, going forth with probation. So I just remember being in court and telling the judge, I was like, yo, if you give me the opportunity, I just graduated barber school. I was like, I'm gonna turn into the best barber Gastonia has ever seen. And I said that, literally said that in court. And it was the manifestation of like, if I was gonna stay in the streets, I was probably gonna be the biggest at that. Like, if I tried my hand in sports, I wasn't gonna settle for being on the bench. So like, I had committed myself to the craft of barbering. And I remember telling the judge that, like, given this opportunity, like, you gonna hear about me, and you gonna see it. Like, the whole city is gonna see it. Like, so the manifestation of what I spoke and the work ethic. Like, I think anytime a young man in this city actually finds himself loving something, he applies the passion and starts to understand, yo, I'm good at this, I could be great. Like, and go full steam ahead with it. Like, man, you own to something. And it's not by chance that I made it this far. It was on purpose. Like, I woke up every day like thinking about, like, yo, I knew how I was raised. Like, work ethic is gonna beat all this. There's a lot of great barbers in Gastonia. There's a lot of great barbers before me. How did I separate myself? I'm finna outwork you. Like, I'm finna outsmart you. Like, I'm not just gonna stand behind this chair. Like, I'm gonna figure out how to separate myself. So a time when nobody was doing designs, a time when nobody was really doing appointments, nobody was really thinking about a commercial location, nobody was thinking about a school at one point or another, I was like, oh yeah, I'm making it easy for me. All right, so once a young man gets into a barbershop, right, he realizes that he don't know everything. Like, you feel almost handicapped compared to a Doom or a Gus or some of the legends out here. You really feel handicapped because you're like, okay, like, why don't my stuff look a certain way? So then I'm going over there and I'm asking some of the guys that have more knowledge than me, more skill, and I'm not gonna say all of them were that way, but you realize, like, young man, you'll just get it. They really didn't have a lot of answers for me. So then I started realizing small things even back then. At like 21, 22, 23 years old, I was like, why in Gastonia everybody just got like this kind of shop? Or why is it this clientele is not like diverse? Like, why are they so good at this one particular thing and not everything? So me, of course, you can't change who you are. I'm looking in the mirror every day like, okay, I gotta separate myself one way or another. So being that I came from a tutelage of Gus, where, yeah, black barber, majority of his clientele was black at the time, but he was the only barber I knew in this whole city he was a part of the Kingdom Hall. So a lot of his brothers and sisters were like Spanish, white, black, and then I was seeing Gus do a little bit of everything, and I was like, okay, that's who really I need to keep my eye on, because he's doing something that I don't see other barbers doing. Quick story real quick. I met Gus when I was like 13 years old. I went into the barbershop with Chris Thomas and my best friend. And I remember just sitting in there, and I feel super out of place, right? Hadn't been in necessarily that environment concerning barbershop. And he was like, "Oh, you scared to let a black man cut your hair?" And I was like, "Nah, I'll give you a shot one day." So then when I'm graduating barber school, I get word from DeJuan Allison. I'm getting word from DeJuan Allison. He was like, "Yo, the dude named Gus, man, he looking to diversify his barbershop. And you was the only one I knew from Gastonia, and, you know, it's perfect." So I remember hollering at Gus, and I was like, "Man, I know this dude from somewhere." He was like, "Oh, I know you from somewhere too. You remember that time you came in with Scooper?" And I was like, damn. So it was like everything came full circle. But shout out to DeJuan Allison too. So I'm on a platform at the mall. Like, people will walk in and be like, "How many you got? How many you got?" And then at the time, the barbershop, the movie had just came out, right? So they like, "You know who you remind me of?" And I'd be like, "No, let me guess." And they'd be like, "The white dude from the barbershop." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fired like him too." So I just throw something cocky out there. And they'd be like, oh, we gonna see then. And they would give me a shot. And I just remember like really thinking in my mind, like, I got one opportunity to make this thing right, or they're gonna go somewhere else. And, you know, be real with the black community, hard on you, but they're gonna be like, "Hey, don't you F me up." Or like, "Bruh, you sure you know what you're doing?" So I had to fight through all that, and it kind of just built up this level of confidence, because I was like, "Boy, if I can take this, I can take anything." And then at the same time, what was going on was people were coming up to me in the mall, like that I went to high school with, and they were like, "Bro, you mind if I sit here and just watch you? This is something I'm thinking about getting into." So I'll never forget this moment where I was standing in a barbershop at the mall, and I think one person came up to me and was like, "Do you mind if I watch?" And I was like, "Nah, feel free to ask questions." So at that point, I was just wanting to, you know, literally cut hair, provide for my family. But that one time somebody asked, "Could I watch?" And then started to ask me questions. I remember trying to explain it. And then it was like this something blew up inside of me. It was like, I think I enjoy that more. So I literally prayed on it. It was like, "Lord, I don't even know what their feeling was, but like, I enjoyed that." So I started speaking it. I started every single one of my clients that you may personally know. If you ask them to this day, they'll be like, "Oh, Marlow was talking about their school back in 2004, 2005. So every single day I would speak it. So I was working towards that even back then, because that one incident, which ended up turning into 2 or 3, where people were reaching out to me like, "Bro, it's amazing to me that you're going that direction. Like, can you give me some words of encouragement?" And then I was like, "Me? Like, out of all people?" Like, sure. So I was building connection with people that were my same age or younger, that were kind of interested in what I was doing. And I was like, you know what? That's gonna be my opportunity to really be more than just a barber. So in the midst of all this, I'm super immature in business. I don't have a bank account. I don't have an LLC. Yeah, I'm still at the mall. So I'm thinking out of a shoebox at this time. I'm buying every pair of Jordans that ever came out. Yeah, I'm making 150. I'm going straight down to M Easy down there in what is that, Foot Action. And I'm like, "Yo, bro, put a 10.5, 11 to the side." I'm buying every pair that come out. So once upon a time, here comes a time where wifey's like, "Yo, like, you literally buying $1,000 worth of shoes every month." And I just remember it hit me like, I'm trying to make up for lost time. I'm trying to make up for the time my mama couldn't buy them. And I'm spending all my money on this. I'm going to put 22s on a Cutlass. I'm trying to live a lifestyle that like I grew up in. And I'm realizing like, yo, at some point or another, I need to grow the hell up, because I got a whole wife and kids at home. And I really feel childish with this stuff. Yeah, and it was like either I keep on moving like this or I grow up. So I know I'm name dropping, but these people are really, really important in my life. But there was you had Kevin Smith, which is a big name in Gaston County. You had Dr. Kelvin Harris, which is a huge name. And I'm gonna say my accountant to this day, Ramon Robinson, and even Dr. Dunning. And then we had Dr. Sutton, which was a cardiologist. So these people were visiting the shop at the mall. There was a barber who was in and out, and he used to take care of this clientele. Yeah, this kind of clientele. So when he was absent, they would sit in my chair, and I'll never forget the moment where I was like, I didn't even feel worthy to have that type of clientele sitting in my chair. I didn't know what to say to them. I felt like I couldn't even speak to them on that level, and I felt very insignificant. Like how in the world am I able to cut a doctor at 21 years old? So the funny thing about it is they started really speaking into my life. Like I'm quiet back there, so I'm just doing what I'm doing, and they're saying, so what's your next step? What's your next move? Like, are you married? You have kids? And they started really mentoring me in business. That is huge for somebody 21 years old. Like Kevin Smith was so hard on me. I'm talking about he was from Detroit. So when he would speak to me, his speaking to me was a little bit different. He was like, man, you need to shut the hell up and listen. You this young man, you think you know it all, but listen to me. And me not having no pops, like for some reason I embraced it. Like to the point where he'll tell me to read something. If I didn't read it, he'd be like, I ain't giving you shit else to read. He was like, it's pointless. He was like, that's what's wrong with you young people. Here it is, I'm spending time where I typically charge somebody for this information. I'm giving you free game. You had the nerve 2 weeks later to come back and tell me you didn't even read it. And I'll be like, okay, this is a different level of mentoring me. So eventually, I started becoming a sponge. I was like, Kevin, please forgive me, bro. Like, tell me that one more time. So then him and I ended up having these deep conversations where the dialogue was not what I was used to. And then Dr. Harris was different. Dr. Harris was like kind of nurturing the little boy in me, almost like, okay, yeah, you got this big vision, but what's your next step? Man, you got a beautiful family. What are you gonna do to keep it? Like it was kind of weird. So everybody played their role, and I just remember thinking, like, dang, I'm seeing this man, this doctor and this lawyer from Greensboro. One is from Detroit, inner city, and they're showing me pictures of like poverty, where they came from. I started looking at Gastonia different. I started looking at it like, damn, it would probably be harder to make it in a big city than Gastonia. So if I can't set myself apart in little old Gastonia, like I ain't working hard enough. So with that comes like, people think you think you something else. Like, oh, Marlow think he doing appointments now. He doing this. Like, man, dude got this big vision, and he's starting to become arrogant. I looked at it totally different. I looked at it like, yo, I'm starting to separate myself from people who don't even believe in my vision. Right. But then you go home, and then your wife and your kids like, babe, I believe in you. Like you great, you smart, like you can do it. Right. And I started doing thinkable. I started to go figure out like what it was gonna take to get a loan. So I started working on credit. I started trying to figure out like what a master's in business would look like. So I started reading up on like the actual way a business format is supposed to be structured. I started changing my dressing a little bit, like the way my hair was, my verbiage, the way I would speak to people, even where I was going. So at that point, I just started separating myself, and I found myself really having a desire to teach. And I was like, yo, if I can open up this school by 35, because I even had a time and a date and everything that I had kind of released into the atmosphere, and I held myself to it. And I just remember telling myself, if I do this by this age, like I'm gonna make sure that in that classroom, it's not gonna be just how to cut hair. Like I'm gonna use whatever God has put in me. I'm gonna go ahead and release it all in that class. So right now at Next Level Barber Academy, I'm trying to turn everybody into like strong leaders, business people, and I want every single one of them to surpass me in business. Like, you don't have to be the greatest barber, but you got to be a better businessman than I am. So Gus separated himself from the business. Okay. Gus was my mentor. So I felt like my brother was kind of missing a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I felt out of place because he had kind of mentored me up to that point. So I remember the booth rent had went up to like $175. I started doing the math on it, like 175. Like I could really go somewhere else, like a hole in the wall, and kind of just do my own thing. So I remember my wife went to like different real estate property management companies, and there was a little old spot on Willow Street that was 308 Willow. So you turn off of what is that? Off of Franklin. But this house had this big old parking lot in the back. So man, my money was super funny back then, to the point where I remember selling a car and taking out like a $3,000 personal loan against some of my own stuff. That the interest rate was terrible. Everything was bad about this loan. So I went ahead and took it out, and I went to Kevin Smith and Dr. Harris, and I said, yo, I'm short of the money that's going to take for me to open up. I was like, if you guys cut me a check directly to me, I'll cut your hair for free for a whole year. So if you added up what I was charging for a haircut at that time, and they were coming every week, it was more. So they were like, yeah, it makes sense to me. We don't mind helping you. So both of them cut me a check. And I opened up, and I just remember that first day sitting in there like, man, like, what am I gonna do? So I reached out to Miss Brenda Adams. I reached out to Gus Parker. I reached out to Marquise. It was quite a few barbers that are already established that I just reached out to. Every single one of them committed to it, and I was like, wait a minute. So it blew my mind that they were like, once again, I'm like 23 at the time, 23, 24. And I'm like, please, like, yeah, let's go. Like, I got this big vision, boom, boom. I'm still talking about the school. I'm talking about working towards something at that point. So Gus was looking at, because he went to Charlotte. Gus was like, yo, I need to get back to Gastonia anyway. I was like, well, can you manage the shop in a sense? I was like, I want you to still teach me, control the atmosphere, and help me out. He was cool with it. Marquise was like, yo, I've been here for a long time, and you like family to me. Like, I'm going to roll with you. Now, I remember his son, Ty, at the time, was like, damn, you need to go with Justin, man. He cool. So Gus was like, man, Bumper, I'm going to give it a shot. Mrs. Brenda was like, I'm going to come with you, but I own my own business. Like, I've been doing this for a long time. I need my own space. I need my own freedom. And you're young enough for me to talk to you and tell you, like, I'm old enough to be your mama, so you're gonna respect me. And I looked at it like, for some reason, once again, I embraced it. I was like, yes, man. I was like, whatever you need me to do, I'm gonna do it. So we got the place open, and by the time we opened up, I had a full staff. At some point or another, in that small place, 308 Willow Street, we had like 7 or 8 barbers in every single room. Yeah, so I learned so much about like management and how to deal with my own emotions, and people looking at me like, bro, you suck as a manager. Like, you terrible. To the point where, like, I remember having nights where I was crying and just like, man, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Maybe I need to dig a little bit deeper. So lo and behold, Chris Lane at this time is at the peak of his career overseas, playing ball. So that building that which is the school right now, he called me from overseas like, yo, I'm about to renovate this building. Like, I need to do something in real estate and in my hometown. He gave me this big old vision of what he wanted to do with the building. I was like, man, I remember asking, like, why me? And his response was like, why not you? And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna roll with it then. Like, so he seen something in me that he was like, yo, young man, like, let's roll. And we're only a couple years difference, but at that point, he done traveled the world. He done went to a 4-year college. Yeah. And when he was coming home, I guess I had cut his hair a couple times, and he was like, I like what you got going on. So that whole building was vacant. At this point, he was like, do you want to open up the barbershop? By the time that Chris had finished the building over there on Garrison, there was one whole spot that was vacant where he was like, man, I don't know what else to do with it. He was like, do you want it too? I had no idea what I was doing or gonna do with it. I was like, yeah, I'll take it too. So then I just doubled up on my rent and everything. So boom, I started reaching out to stylists. Before you know, I had a couple stylists commit. I sent wifey back to school for cosmetology, and I just remember that building sitting there until everything fell in place. And then before you know it, I had a full staff on the barbershop side. I had a full staff on the salon side. Chad was washing cars in the back. Ramon had a spot downstairs, and then the Floyds, a different set of Floyds, Michelle Floyd and her husband had a cleaning business downstairs. So in a I guess quick story, that's how that unfolded to a T. But and then I started like really dreaming big when I started to really feel like I was flourishing on Garrison. The spot at the mall came available because Fish and Cliff and everybody ended up going to Carolina Place.
That's right.
So I was like, boom, I'm gonna go and open up that barbershop again. And then I had so many barbers coming to me like, yo, like, what's up? Do you have a spot available? So we ended up having, a lot of barbers altogether. It was 16 barbers between Garrison Next Level and the mall Next Level. I literally opened that thing up and realized that like I can't manage both spots.
Okay.
And sold it to the lady who owns it now. It didn't mesh. It didn't go well, so I sold the business, and of course it's doing well for her right now, I believe. You know what I mean? So, it worked out. But then that was never my vision anyway. If managing all those barbers and owning those shops did anything, it set me up for managing different personalities for the school. So it was like, okay, I needed to experience that because I'm going to be taking on people who have no idea what the industry is like, and I'm going to have to deal with people on different learning levels, people with different personality types, and then that's kind of where it started to make sense to me. It was like, okay, that was training me and kind of positioning me for my next journey. So then I remember there was a picture that probably go through my Facebook where I had my arms open, and I was just like, yo, this is gonna be where the classroom is when I open up the school. It wasn't until 3 years later I opened up the school and I turned that into the classroom. So 2018, November 2018, I'm going through it once again, just like really trying to figure out how I'm gonna get my business open. This is all I've been dreaming about since 2004 at this point. I've been thinking about the school thing for like a long time. And I just remember just putting it out there like, yo, this is gonna be the date where I'm enrolling. You had Luke, my brother Luke, John Luke. You had my Sneakers aunt, which is my aunt Michelle. And then you had Terrell McLean. And then soon after you had, who else? Mike Mazzilli, Mike Parker. And then you had quite a few people that was coming from different directions. Like they actually was like, bro, they say you the best. Like in this area, we just want to learn from the best. So I started off with 2 students. I remember just going in like a classroom just like this and having to look at 2 people and imagine this whole classroom a year from now with like 20 people, 50 to 75 maybe. It may be more than that. I'm just not sure. At this point, I don't even keep track. But Shelby, Lincoln, Hickory, Concord, South Carolina, Shelby, Kings Mountain, Clover. Yeah, I can go on and on. I've seen students from everywhere at this point. And I've seen high school students graduate high school, come to the academy, graduate, and now claiming $75,000 to $100,000 a year. Yeah, at 19, 20 years old. I'm one of the people, I look at everything from a positive standpoint. So I like what I see from the direction the city is going, because I've linked up with people who have a heart and a desire for our city. City of Gastonia Police Department, Officer Southern, Josh Woods, the mayor, local, like I'm talking about local people, coach, the people that actually come together who's actually we're disappointed in the direction that some of the young folks are going and really have nobody really grabbing a hold on. Like, yo, we in this together, man. Like, whatever we can do, just trying to make ourselves available. But as far as what I'm seeing over the last couple of months, even the last couple of years, I would say, like, I'm tired of seeing. I'm just tired of seeing everybody kill one another, because I don't want to get too deep into it, but like when you understand what's really going on, you're empowering something else by killing one another. Like, cause the whole objective in the city right now is for all of us to make money, make our families proud, and then live in purpose and live with passion. So right now, at our last community event, the young man who passed away yesterday or the day before was sitting in our chair, and he was inquiring about barber school and several different things. So the only thing I keep on thinking is, like, he did have a passion, he did have a purpose, and he was just in a situation where I don't feel like he was able to thrive. You know what I mean? Like, hey, bro, my first student was murdered. My very first student ever graduated from the school was murdered. Yeah, I'm gonna say he captivated my heart, my mind, and became like a brother that I didn't have. My very first graduate of Next Level Barber Academy was murdered. For me to continue on, for me to continue to have a passion, like, bro, that thing almost. I wanted to leave the city completely. I was like, this ain't for me no more. I'm heartbroken. It's happened to me so many times. Like, I'm talking about like Mario Beard, Don Mackins, Luke. I've lost a core group of friends that were not just like second or third down the line, but were considered my best friends I've lost. So every day my feet touch the floor, I'm just like, yo, like, how can I play my part? I'm gonna use whatever I have available. And right now, I have a classroom that somebody's saying, okay, man, I'm gonna listen to you. I'm not gonna shut up. Like, if you don't have a business, if you don't have a vision, if I see something in you, I'm gonna pull it up out you. Like, never mind barbering. It could be landscaping. Like, oh, you cutting 1 yard, bro? You could be really pushing out like 50 corporate contracts in the next year. You don't see it. Let's talk. Like, let's figure out where we can start. Like, what you need help with? Boom. Call Ramon. Call my business mentor. Like, let's connect these young people with people. Like, bro, what you like? Oh, you like basketball? Well, let me connect you with such and such. Or let's get you in the right position. Never mind your grades. Never mind you being in a lockup last week. Let's talk about what you want to do. And if you don't have a passion, because I do hear that too. Young people just like, I don't know what I want to do. You want to make money, right? Yeah, you do. So let's figure out how to make that happen first. When I was with city leaders, they were coming up with like different things. I said, these young men, like, I'm literally talking into a mic at the thing. I'm like, these young dudes just want to make money. We're coming from broke backgrounds where money makes a difference. If you're not trying to figure out a way for these young men to get money in their pocket right now, stop talking. Yeah, I'm a felon. I'm a felon. But I'm telling you, the reason why I'm successful now is not because I'm a great barber. It's because I don't want to be broke. And it's coming from seeing your mama not be able to pay bills, crying because, like, she has no other source of income. And me being a 13, 14-year-old young man sitting on the edge of the bed with her like, mama, don't cry. I got you. Like, yo, I'm going to step up. And then what do? We jump off the porch and be like, bro, give me something to play with. And then it's just this addiction to not being broke. That sounds crazy, but like, when I tell the students in the classroom, I got a whole wall behind me down there in the classroom. I said, take this marker, permanent marker, write something on that wall that when you're sitting in front of me, you gotta stare past me as a reminder of what's gonna motivate you. And I said, I'll be the first one to start. And I said, I put breaking generational curses right over the doorway. And I said, the reason why I put that up there is because nobody in my family thought buying a home was possible. Nobody thought owning a business was possible. They stopped right there because it just seemed like too much work. And I'm telling them, like, Nah, bruh, I did it. I did it because I wanted it and I was willing to put in the work. You'll get some people to get discouraged after 2 or 3 haircuts and be like, bro, I don't think this is for me. And I'm telling you, like, okay, what's next? What happens when you sign up for to get your CDLs and you back that $150,000 truck and trailer into something and you get in trouble? What's next? Quit giving up and just go with like passion. What do you want to do? And now when I put them clippers in somebody's hand, like it's easy for me to be like, nah, that ain't it. But then a couple weeks later, be like, oh, you taking off. Like you finna take over. I see it. Like you're gonna be able to provide for your family with them hands, and can't nobody ever unteach that. Once you figure out how to make some money with your hands, nobody can fire you from that. Corporate America can fire you and send your butt home, and guess what? You can set up shop and pay your bills with your hands. We doing something different. Yeah, like so I'm trying to get them like, okay, people lose their mind when they lose their job. Suicide, like, or they'll work for somebody else. Jay-Z said it best in what was that 444? He was like, y'all fighting over a block that you don't even own. Your mama don't own. You don't own it. Y'all fighting over really what you fighting for is the couple of dollars is coming through that set. In a barbershop, set yourself to the point where like everything that comes through that door is looking for you, because you set such a standard with like excellence. Like don't just be mediocre if you're gonna put them clippers in your hand. Like from day one, you need to be looking at whoever you identify as the best in the room and be like, humbly, I'm gonna hawk his tail down. I said, if you don't have that energy coming into school, I was like, you might want to quit. I was like, it's because it's the mindset. Yeah. It's the same thing Jamal was doing over there at Huss. I'm doing that. Yeah. But I just want to take it a little bit further. Like, this don't even have nothing to do with barbering. This has everything to do with, like, if you make $100, can you save 50 of it? Do you know where to put that money in order for it to grow? Do you understand the money and banking system? Because I didn't. I wanted to know, and then I found mentors that knew more than me. And then I'm to the point now where, like, if I want to know something, bro, it's going to drive me crazy until I figure out the answer. Man, I really get chill bumps when people ask me stuff like that, because a lot of people, like, I'm a big dreamer. So, going back to what you just now asked, whoever lends me their time, their energy, and their ear, I can't say watch, but watch. Like, I'm going to make sure that everybody knows is an entrepreneur. The ball and the leverage is in their court, that I'm finding resources and people to meet. I'm going to use my building to allow other people to come in and use my classroom. So this is my vision. Wow. Is it just about the black community for me? I get a lot of people that ask that because I'm passionate about the black community. Why? People ask me this all the time. Why am I so passionate about the black community? It don't have nothing to do with race with me. Like, I identify with who I identify with, and that's the way I've always been. Like, I can't fight who I am. So I just feel like it's purpose. God created me who I am. I grew up around who I grew up with, and my passion is to use whatever gift that is inside of me as a resource for people that connect themselves with me to take off. So it just so happens that, most of my friends are people, my brown brothers and sisters. I love them, you know what I mean? Like, all I have is experience, a little bit more knowledge at this point, and I'm still growing. But as soon as I get it, I'm talking about as soon as I get it, I might show up on Tuesday morning with class time and be like, guess what I learned over the weekend? Boom, I figured out how we can get your credit right. I met this dude, give him a call, and we're going to bring him in on Tuesday. So I'm bringing in entrepreneurs. I'm bringing in finance managers. I'm bringing in people that repair credit. I'm teaching people about the importance of the different types of life insurance, the right ways to invest your money to the point where it has no choice but to grow. So now it's like, okay, what you gonna do with that $100 you got? You got to save a little bit and figure out, okay, how can I use that $100 as leverage and to educate myself on the financial system? Quit being a consumer. Be the product. Make people come to you. So you got to graduate with a brand, an LLC, revolving finances coming in through that account, to the point where you graduate barber school, you'll have at least 1 or 2 years of money coming that you can claim legally. Once again, a product, so that's 2 businesses in one. You have, of course, your own finances coming in through cutting hair, a product, account proving all that, and paperwork, to the point where when you come to that bank and you say, okay, I need to borrow for my first shop, I need to borrow $25,000 to $50,000. I have it set up to the point where they can't deny you because your credit's right, and you have revolving money coming in and out of an account as proof that you can pay that loan. Buying a home, not buying a home because you're excited about buying your first home, but obviously buying your first home, figuring out the neighborhood, what you can do in real estate, and how to leverage your first investment and capitalize off of it. And bro, that's pretty much what we're doing, is trying to say, okay, you join barber school to learn how to cut hair, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna use barbering as a platform for everything else that you want to do. I think if I could speak to the community, I would say, we gotta not only dream, but we gotta wake up from them dreams and chase down passion and purpose. It may sound silly, but at some point or another, you can't keep on having these multi-million-dollar ideas and this feeling of greatness on the inside of you and not actually walking in it. Like, people don't understand, like, when a child's watching a football game and he like, I can do that, but nobody is nurturing that thing. At some point or another, no matter whether anybody nurtures it or not, he's gonna know, like, I feel great. I feel like I can do this, and then it's gonna catapult him into a LeBron James, a Michael Jordan, a Nipsey Hussle, Mike Tyson, and you see what I'm saying? I can go on and on about their stories where they felt it at a young age. I believe that same thing is going on in Gastonia in every single individual. Fear will keep you from quitting that job and pursuing a dream that you've had for 10 years. Fear will stop you from just walking into a bank and, what is the process for me to get this loan? You see what I'm saying? It's fear. You're gonna leave this earth. And you're not gonna be feeling fulfilled. In fact, there's a lot of people right now, as I speak, who feel this huge void right now in their life. They can't even figure out what it is. And I'm gonna tell you what it is. And the fact that you were born, or you were destined for this particular thing, and until you line up with that thing, you're gonna feel a void. I don't even know what that thing is. It could be healthcare, it could be a doctor, it could be a book, and until, like, that feeling that you feel and purpose lines up, and of course you got to pursue it. Purpose, pursuit, when that thing starts to line up, watch how many doors open up for you. I'm speaking with passion right now because I'm passionate about other people's dreams. I'm passionate about other people reaching fulfillment while on this earth. I done lost so many friends that, like, I know, because I shared intimate moments with them, like where we were speaking as brothers, where they had so many things that they wanted to do. Yeah, you're gonna have to realize that your days are numbered. Every breath has to be intentional, and I think I heard somebody else say this before, but you have to live on purpose. Live in purpose and live on purpose. So when your feet touch the floor, it can't be like, let me just see how my day goes. You got to command how you want it to go. And that's what I mean about prioritizing. Wake up and, like, if you're sick of that job, but you're not filling out applications, you're not walking in stuff that's going to align you with making a transition, you just merely operating. So for everybody out there, man, you really got to wake up and start doing the unthinkable. Stuff that don't even seem like stuff that's gonna get you anywhere. Start figuring out how to get your credit right. Start figuring out, like, what some of your dreams look like as soon as you start to just walk in faith. And without trying to sound spiritual, like, that's really what it is. Like, you don't even know your own worth. You really don't. And, I'm past that point. At 38 years old, You about to see me flourish in real estate. You about to see me flourish as a entrepreneur, and you about to see me flourish in helping other people reach their goals. I don't know how much time I've had. I know I got hit with 34 felonies straight out the gate. My first charge, and you don't have no choice. You don't have no choice but to change. Anytime your back is against the wall, you got two options. You either give up or you come out swinging. And for everybody, man, like you gotta have that kind of nature, that competitive edge to you, and not with other people. Look in the mirror and be like, you know what? I suck at being a father. I'm about to be a better father. I suck at being a husband. I'm gonna figure out a way to be a better husband. I suck at entrepreneurship right now. I'm about to be the best entrepreneur I know. And that's your talking in the mirror every single day. So if you really want life, you gotta be intentional.